Hey guys, welcome to Game Back today, bringing a video, and today we're going over Ghost Recon Frontline. Just kind of going through my initial reactions from this. I know this was announced last week, I believe it was, and there was just so much going on at the time. We had Battlefield going on, Sandstorm just released, Hell Let Loose, so it's been a pretty crazy couple weeks here in the gaming industry for first-person tactical shooters. So, Ghost Recon Frontline. This is an interesting game, and I'm just going to go over the trailer, my thoughts on the game mode as well. But first off, I just want to preface this by saying I am not a hardcore Ghost Recon or Tom Clancy fan at all. I definitely played a little bit of the Splinter Cell games back in the day. I never played any other Ghost Recon games outside of that. I did play Rainbow Six Siege a little bit here and there, and I do have Breakpoint, in which I play time and time again. Just a very casual Ghost Recon player. So definitely I don't have the same thoughts and opinions as some of the hardcore Ghost Recon Tom Clancy fans out there. Some of the guys that I really like to follow here are people like Devil Dog Gamer, Big Fry TV, and I know they've been fans of the Ghost Recon Tom Clancy series for a long time, and they've had, I guess the whole community themselves had a very vocal opinions about this game. But going over it from my perspective, just an outsider, not a member of that community, not a hardcore fan of Ghost Recon at all, just a casual Ghost Recon player. First off, we'll go into the trailer, what the game mode is, and then I'll get into my thoughts as a casual gamer for the Ghost Recon franchise. So, first off, the game mode itself is going to be called Expedition. This is going to be a 100-plus player battle royale type game mode. Kind of seems it's a little bit vague on what the actual objective is. It seems like you're going to be going in as squads of 3 and collecting intel, obviously facing off against other squads, and then extracting. So it doesn't seem like it's a typical Battle Royale game where there's only one squad that's going to survive and any gas or the circle's going to close in or anything like that. It seems like you're going in with objectives to collect different intel, different missions on this large map. I believe it's called Drakemore, and basically after you accomplish your objective, you can extract at different times. So this sounds very similar to what we just saw with Hazard Zone, which was just announced this past week. We had the trailer for Hazard Zone, and that is going to be obviously kind of a mix of Escape from Tarkov and the Hunt Showdown, but just in a much more casual type game mode, I guess, right? For the more casual player. And in that mode, basically, you're going in, collecting the down satellites and getting that intel, and then you have 2 opportunities to extract, and it's 32 players plus the AI on the map, and then you have to fight those teams or the AI, as well as you only have 2 opportunities to extract. So at most, there can only be 2 squads that win in Hazard Zone. This sounds very similar. They didn't go too much into how this would work, but it is a BR style game mode where you're going to be going in, collecting the intel, and extracting, and obviously fighting off the 100-plus players on the map as well in squads of 3. So some of the features for this game mode going to be unbound tactical freedom. Again, it's bringing a lot of what we've seen with something like Wildlands and Ghost Recon Breakpoint into this game. However, isn't a first-person perspective, which is a big switch from the Ghost Recon series. They did it back in the day, I remember a little bit here and there, but mainly Ghost Recon has been a third-person shooter franchise for the most part, outside of something like Rainbow Six Siege and some of the other Rainbow Six games. Next up, we have class-based squads. So you'll have squads that are based on the different class systems, so you have to choose your squads, who's going to be what class to complement the team, which is good. Massive battleground, as I discussed, the island that you're going to be playing on, Drakemore, is just a massive map, and we see a little bit of it here in the trailer, and it looks huge. So I mean, that offers a lot of freedom, and it seems like if there are different objectives on the map, it'll allow you freedom to pursue different objectives that you want and then extract at your own convenience. Probably something similar to Tarkov or what we just saw with Hazard Zone, where there's going to be different extraction points, extraction times, and you'll have to be there at that said time or once you've completed an objective, and potentially have to fight off other squads in order to extract. Next up, we have military immersion. So obviously, Ghost Recon, if you look at Wildlands and Breakpoint, bringing all that customization, weapons basically being brought into Frontline. And then they go into the Expedition mode, which is this cooperative type mode with you and your squad of 3 going in with 100-plus other players to accomplish these objectives and extract, and then a forever evolving game, meaning it's going to be a live service. Now, one of the caveats here is this is a free-to-play game, or it will be a free-to-play game, whereas you look at something like Battlefield 2042's Hazard Zone, that is not a free game. That comes with the title itself for the full price of the game with Battlefield 2042, and Hazard Zone is just a part of that game. So, Frontline is going to be free-to-play. Now, the release dates, I believe it said it was going to be sometime in 2022. There was supposed to be an alpha or a closed alpha sometime here in October of 2021. However, that's been delayed, and there's been no update on the date. Now, getting into my thoughts on this right now, the trailers itself looks very appealing to me. As I said, a casual fan who doesn't really have ever played much Ghost Recon Hardcore or anything like that. I did play the Splinter Cells back in the day, but a first-person tactical shooter fan, this looks awesome, and I honestly would love to jump in and play this. It's free to play, obviously, so why wouldn't you? It's bringing over what seems to be a bunch of the customization and the weapons from Wildlands and Breakpoint, which all of that customization is really fun. You see a lot of different character outfits, being able to customize your contractor is what they're calling them, so different things like flannels, plate carriers, the weapons, different optics, just a lot of customization that we saw in Wildlands and Breakpoint coming into this game in a first-person perspective. Really sounds very, very appealing to me, and honestly, I would really love to play this. We see the revive system going on here. We see some of the weapons going on in game, like the Nighttime Company LAMG, a light assault machine gun, and something like Dragunov's, AKs, M4s. So it looks really cool. Go in, collect intel, and extract. So it looks like a lot of fun. Now, that's coming from somebody, like I said, not a big fan of the Ghost Recon series, not a ride or die, but the community reaction seems to be very negative to this, and I can see how that would be if you're somebody that's used to the old school Ghost Recon games. This is just a free-to-play game that's kind of throwing on that Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon name onto it. So I can definitely see from, if we look at like a Battlefield perspective, something like Battlefield Hardline, maybe that should have just been called Hardline, its own separate title, and not been thrown into the Battlefield mix, right? Because obviously a lot of the Battlefield community received that game poorly. Same with Battlefield 5. Maybe it should have just been its own separate World War II shooter developed by DICE. So this is kind of the same situation. It seems like the hardcore Ghost Recon fans, or just the fan base in general of Ghost Recon, seem to be annoyed with this title. Not really what they wanted, not what they were expecting. I know a lot of folks are wanting like the mainly the Splinter Cells. I see a lot of that, the Future Soldier remakes, things like that, to come, those titles to come back with new games is kind of what the community wants, from what I can tell just by listening to some content here and there. And I can definitely understand that. Obviously, Battlefield Hardline was not something I was a fan of, nor was a lot of the community. I think if Hardline and Battlefield 5 were their own separate titles, it would have been fine. I think they sold poorly, especially because they had the Battlefield name on them when they necessarily didn't need that, and they would have probably done better as their own separate title. I think we have the same thing here. Ghost Recon Frontlines, if it were just called Frontlines, or Ubisoft Presents Frontline, something like that, it could take place in the same universe, but not throw on the same Tom Clancy Ghost Recon title onto it. I think that's probably why we're seeing a lot of the negative reaction, because that community doesn't really want something like this. Nobody really asked for this. But for somebody from like myself, this looks like a lot of fun, because I'm on the outside looking in at another first-person tactical shooter where I can jump in with my friends and the community and have a good time. And use modernized weapons, equipment, soldiers, things like that. So that's why it's appealing to me. I think it looks pretty cool. However, unfortunately, the beta was delayed, or the closed alpha, whichever it was here. We don't have an update on that, and we don't really know when the release date is. So there's sometime in 2022. Supposedly, it's gone through 3 years of development, and I will say it does look like definitely a lot of the assets were ported over from Wildlands and Breakpoint, which I've heard a lot of that being a little bit of a complaint as well. And 3 years of development for that doesn't seem quite right if you're porting over a lot of this just onto a newer engine. But you can see here the map looks big, the game itself looks awesome in my opinion, but I can definitely see how the Ghost Recon fan base may be annoyed with this. So we'll just have to wait and see when this does come out, if it does come out, because I know it was received pretty poorly. The YouTube trailer has a lot of dislikes, much more than the like ratio for trailer itself. So we'll have to see when this actually releases, when the closed alpha, closed beta tests are, and how it actually plays. The one thing going for it is that it is free to play. Obviously, I think it would be a much more negative reception, if that's even possible, if it were you had to pay a full game price for it. But obviously, they're recycling a lot of assets here. It's free to play, so I don't really see the huge issue with that. If it's free to play, check it out if you like it. If not, no harm, no foul. However, maybe developer assets, or I guess developer manpower could be better spent developing something like a new Splinter Cell, something that community actually wants. But let me know what you guys think down below of Ghost Recon Frontline. Should it have been called Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, or should it have just been called Frontline? What do you think of the game? And are you going to play it when it comes out? Let me know down below. Till next time, Buffner Gaming, out.